Good afternoon. It is Tuesday, August 25th, 2026. One of the most interesting events in the Gospels is the event we're looking at today. It's called the Transfiguration. It's when Jesus and Peter and James and John went up on the mountain and met Moses and Elijah. It's part of the change of focus of Jesus' instructions to his disciples after Peter's recognition of Jesus being the Messiah. In Luke chapter 9, verses 28 to 36, and I'm reading from the New Living Translation, second edition, it says, "About 8 days later, Jesus took Peter, John, and James up on a mountain to pray. And as he was praying, the appearance of his face was transformed, and his clothes became dazzling white. Suddenly 2 men, Moses and Elijah, appeared and began talking with Jesus. They were glorious to see, and they were speaking about his exodus from this world, which was about to be fulfilled in Jerusalem. Peter and the others had fallen asleep. When they woke up, they saw Jesus' glory and the 2 men standing with him. As Moses and Elijah were starting to leave, Peter, not even knowing what he was saying, blurted out, 'Master, it's wonderful for us to be here. Let's make 3 shelters as memorials, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah.' But even as he was saying this, a cloud overshadowed them, and terror gripped them as the cloud covered them. Then a voice from the cloud said, 'This is my Son, my chosen one. Listen to him.' When the voice finished, Jesus was there alone. They didn't tell anyone at the time what they had seen. Now this is 8 days after Peter's confession that Jesus was the Messiah. And he took his 3 closest disciples, Peter, James, and John, up on the mountain to pray. That was a fairly normal occurrence for Jesus to get away and to pray and occasionally take 1 or 2 of the disciples with him, and this time he took the 3. And then the supernatural happened. His clothes changed, his face changed, his clothes became a dazzling white. And 2 men who were easily recognizable to Peter, James, and John, recognized as Moses and Elijah, 2 great Old Testament figures. And then a cloud-like fog came in, made them hard to see, and they were having a conversation with Jesus about the upcoming events in Jerusalem and how Jesus was going to be crucified and then be resurrected on the 3rd day and go back to heaven. The disciples, meanwhile, they're asleep. They're out cold. And Moses and Elijah are getting about ready to leave, and the disciples wake back up after the conversation. And Peter blurts out, "Hey, let's do something permanent. Let's make a memorial. Let's help us remember how wonderful it was for us to be here." And Jesus just ignored him completely, just completely ignored everything he had to say. And when the cloud came back, they got afraid. And they were fearful because this was a marvelous, majestic thing of supernatural power they were seeing. And they were afraid. And then they hear a voice from heaven. Now, they hadn't heard a voice from heaven since Jesus' baptism. But they hear a voice from heaven. "This is my Son, my chosen one. Listen to him." So here's the takeaway for Peter, James, and John. They see this wonderful side of Jesus being transformed and Moses and Elijah coming to speak with him. And here's the takeaway. "This is my Son, my chosen one. Listen to him." It was a heavenly authentication of Jesus. May you and I listen to Jesus like the voice from heaven instructed Peter and James and John, to hear his words in such a way that we follow and obey his words. May you and I be obedient listeners this week. God bless you.